journey to become a CPA goes back a long, long way now. Back in the UK, in Leeds, in England, is where I trained to become a CPA. And from there, I ended up in Canada on a secondment. Went back and got convinced to come back to Canada. Been back just over 25 years. Spent most of that journey in one organization, PricewaterhouseCoopers. Had a great time. I was getting towards the end of my career at PwC as a partner, and it's all about timing. You know, is the right opportunity going to come along? And this opportunity came along at a great time for me to go and try something new. More recently, 4 years ago, I took that big plunge and maybe dived into what some people refer to as kind of the dark side, and went to industry and joined the Open Road Group to work with Christian Cheer and his family and the leadership team there. My role there is the Executive Vice President and CFO. I work really closely with Christian, the management team, the board on everything financial and anything strategic that we look at as an organization. No 2 days look like the same, and I've been there 4 years and they don't look the same. But the strategic side is a lot of fun, and really trying to build the team, build the talent, nurture and coach people is probably some of the highlights. It's still probably the most enjoyable part of what I do even today at Open Road. And you know, there are some really nice side benefits of doing that. When you take the time to train great people, they make you look great as a leader. And most people forget you're only as good as the team that's around you. So I continue to try and invest in the people that are on the teams that work with me. I just think that's been such an important part of who I've been for all of this time in the profession, and I just don't see any reason why that should change.
The Drop Zone event that I did for a number of years for Easter Seals BC and Yukon, it was just a unique event. I saw a poster in an elevator, and it was basically, do you want to rappel off a very large building dressed as a superhero? And so, how can your answer to that be no? Of course you do. Like, who doesn't want to kind of jump off a perfectly good building? So much of what we do and our professional life, we're very fortunate. We're very lucky. And sometimes we can get kind of hung up in our own kind of first world problems. But what you realize is that, with a twist of fate, any one of us could be in a difficult situation. Any one of us could be a disabled kid or a family that needs support. And this was an opportunity for me to do something that was fun, but to really give back. I'm a huge kind of karma person. It's not about, of course, expecting that you're going to get that back in return, but it's the right thing to do, and I could do it. And it reminded me of how fortunate, we are in the profession and the things I've gotten to do in my life. But it also gave me a unique ability to kind of use my Rolodex to shamelessly raise money from my friends and colleagues because it was a unique event. And yeah, over the years I got to, dress up as various superheroes. I got some of my company colleagues to come along with us. And I think it's so important for all of us, whatever we do in any profession that we're in, to remember others who are less fortunate than we are, and to do whatever we can to, in any way, to do something about that. And that's why I did it. We all work in communities. We all work with lots of different clients if you're in public practice, or your own business if you're in industry. It's so important to be part of your community.
I mean, think about it, we spend probably more hours at work than we do at home with our family, so a lot of it is building a work family. And I find it goes both ways. Not only do I help and believe it's important to create the future and career development for your team, but also I tend to grow off of that and learn from them as well. So it does go both ways. But it's really important, I find, to help look at, sometimes staff aren't quite sure, do I go this direction or that direction, give them the guidance, making them see there is a rationale and a reason for what we do and want to encourage them to take on more, whether it's more difficult work at work or even taking on more education. So I'm looking at how to grow the staff. And some of the things I look at is really encouragement to build that team environment is things like trust. They know they can trust me. If they have a hard decision to make, they know I'll back them when the decisions are made. And like I said, it's just not just going out and doing whatever, but it's taking calculated risks. And based on their experience, I know they're making the right decision at the right time based on the information we know. A few months later, more new data comes out, might change our decision, but at that point in time, that was the right decision, so I support them. Another key thing I like to do is to really encourage them is celebration. Celebrating, the small wins. Sometimes some of the projects we work on might take 2 years to come to fruition, but along the way, taking little steps. And one thing that's really critical is keep them in the public eye. So make sure the clients we support, our executive teams, are all aware of who's doing what and who should really deserve the success. The team's behind them, but our small team, each person has a unique piece to play, and on each project, one person is usually should get the star for that role on that day.
My CPA journey may be a little bit unique. I backed into being a CPA. I was a young leader running an organization that was growing really quickly. I needed to make a decision of what I was going to do for postgraduate work. And instead of pursuing a master's in social work, I decided to pursue a master's in business administration. And in all honesty, out of sheer spite, I got an accounting designation because I was getting very frustrated with people telling me no all the time. So I thought if I understood the rules of the profession a little bit better, there might be some ways to accomplish some things on site and with integrity. But I didn't have the particular toolkit at the time to be able to do that. So I chose to get, at that time, my CMA designation. Getting my CPA designation turned out to be one of the best decisions I made, but it also gave me a toolkit that I have taken throughout my entire career in terms of being able to understand organizations, understand finance, and really be able to more quickly determine where to have impact and how to add value. I have the privilege of leading a very large team of people at PwC. I'm responsible for all of Canada's largest public companies in our managed accounts program. And it's a role I love. I feel pretty blessed to do that. I had a board chair early in my career, and he gave me some very powerful advice, which has stayed with me for a very long time. And he said to me, "You're not responsible for how people show up at work. You are 100% responsible for how you send them home." And that was really powerful in terms of how do you engage with people? How do you support people? How do you bring out the best in people when you think people are generally one of the most powerful resources in any organization? That advice he gave me has made an enormous difference in terms of my leadership style changing, and I think becoming more inclusive, more collaborative, having more patience to leave some space for people, which has ultimately, I think, helped me and the organizations that I've worked with be more successful.
I've lived in South Surrey for 40 years, and my children were born at Peace Arch, and so it's near and dear to my heart, that hospital, and giving back to our community because it's such an important, healthcare is strained. We hear it on the news daily. And so my role is obviously from, helping out with the Finance and Audit Committee and that side of things, certainly within the organization. And it's very important. A lot of not-for-profits need our help as CPAs. And so certainly my role is to help from the financial point of view and the budgeting and looking at everything through the financial lens. So it's really rewarding to be able to speak with donors in our communities and give significant dollars. I'm very lucky to live in a community that gives a lot of money to the hospital. So we have a lot of funds at our disposal. So our job is to stewardship those funds and really get the best bang for the dollars that we are ultimately able to raise. And so I've been involved for 2 years now on the foundation, and just was initially obviously started as a director at large, and then in July last year I moved into the audit and finance chair. So we raise money, we can buy equipment and MRI machines, and these are expensive things, and do major renos into our hospital that we can pay for. And to see and hear in our community how people have seen the changes that we've been able to do as a foundation to our hospital. And I mean, you can just drive by the hospital, you can see it from the outside. We have a brand new ER that is just absolutely beautiful. And anyone that hasn't been there recently, go there and they go, Shane, it's absolutely beautiful. It's unbelievable the experience now that I can have at that hospital now. Because hospital's a place that people don't like to go to. No one does, right? It's usually not good news. So, but if they can have a better experience in shortened times, wait times, and a better healthcare, that's ultimately my goal, is to assist with that.
I think what's coming around the corner clearly is the importance of data, and more specifically AI. So if you're a young CPA joining a mining company, the one thing that's pretty consistent with all mining companies is they have lots of data. And if you're bright and eager and energetic, being in a position to interpret that data effectively to drive the right business decisions for the organization is really going to set yourself apart. And it'll take you to interesting countries too. I like change. I like the fact that, what you're doing today might change in a year, might change in 18 months. So I think that dynamic nature provides a CPA, regardless of your stage, with that opportunity to evolve your career, learn new things, always be looking, whether it's continuous education, whether it's other, involvements, if you will, just to make yourself as relevant as you can within your organization. And if you're eager and energetic, dive into AI, get to be the best person on your street. I was talking to actually a couple of my tax partners earlier this week about just writing some opinions, and doing a lot of that background research when you have an AI overlay can help expedite that process. At the end of the day, it's not a substitute for the gray matter and being able to interpret the results, and again, sort of putting in that client-facing framework at the end of the day as far as the solution that's otherwise offered to the client. It's a powerful tool. It's going to help transform both professional services firms, but also if you're in industry. I ask everyone that I talk to, I know in mining, they're going through that right now. A lot of companies everybody's curious. So finding those use cases as to how they can leverage AI to, again, make better decisions.
The West Coast Family Center Society is an organization that works with families that are in crisis, that usually where the ministry is involved, the Ministry of Child and Family Development is involved. And we provide the counseling and support to support their parenting initiatives, to help them with, whatever the issues are, to help them keep their kids, to help them get their kids back if they have been put into care. My role there, so I'm the treasurer. Being the CPA on the board, that's usually the role that you have. But it's been so interesting, and it's grown so much over the time that I've been involved. One of the other things that I'm really proud of is, and it's just a little thing, but it's called the Empty Box Challenge. So I just had this idea one day, and maybe it had a little bit to do with some online shopping, but you have all these empty boxes, and you have stuff that you don't maybe need anymore, or that you want to support people in certain ways. So I started the Empty Box Challenge and challenged my friends initially to fill up an empty box that they had, and then I took them down to the downtown Eastside Women's Shelter to help, give them a little healthy start on some things that they might need. When the invasion in the Ukraine happened, I had the idea that people were going to be arriving here with absolutely nothing, and let's just give them a little bit to get through the first few days. So I organized and again put out the call to my friends and on my Instagram page, and organized boxes and took them down to the airport. So I connected with the organization that was actually meeting all of the refugees at the time. And I connected with a friend of mine that worked at the airport, and I kind of set them up. So we got some storage space, and we you know, like they were able to do that. I know through the trips of ones that I generated through my connections, there was at least like 150, and when they did their big drive that day, there was probably another, I'd say 900 to 1,000.
Something that a lot of people don't realize, but Canada is a leader in the maritime industry. When I was part of the Maritime Anti-Corruption Network, both myself and the chair were Canadian. And so he was the general counsel at Canadian Steamship Lines out of Montreal. But in Vancouver, a lot of people also don't realize that we have headquartered here in Vancouver two of the largest international shipping companies in the world. TK, which is tankers, they own tankers, and then Seaspan, of course, which owns container ships, one of the largest container ship owners in the world. I think it was really around the kind of ethical conduct aspect of it. I really enjoyed going around to all the offices and speaking to all the people in the offices about proper ethical conduct and what that means. And usually I'd deliver a presentation and then open it up for questions afterwards. And it was always interesting, the questions you'd get. One funny story, I was delivering this in Norway to a huge office, and as well, all the ships that were there. And so it was literally thousands of people. And while I was delivering this training and doing this presentation, the PowerPoint went completely off and all my notes were on the PowerPoint. And so I had to, and they were filming it, it was live to all the ships. And so I had to deliver it without any notes or anything to go by. It was a bit stressful, but I just loved doing it and would often go into each office, you know, one day and do that and deliver those presentations.
So during my tenure at Kabam, I've had the privilege to manage finance, legal, IT, data science, analytics, workplace experience, and asset infrastructure. This cross-functional, I think, access to different departments and different functions of the company has allowed me to be able to, I think, identify opportunities to scale more effectively across, I would say, cross-functional collaboration, as well to be able to, I think, identify strategic alignment with operational goals that can sometimes be very siloed in the organization. In terms of spearheading Kabam's growth and profitability year over year, it's really been a focus on, I think, aligning strategic goals to operational endeavors, a huge touch of financial discipline, as well as being able to address, I think, opportunities as they arise while mitigating risks effectively. I really like how we've been able to embody, I think, real-time and advanced analytics and have that evolve into such a way that it creates the intuitive decision-making that the leadership team has come to respect and, I think, to operate accordingly. This is the world that we are in today. It's very customer-centric oriented, but yet you have to grasp the data points that are going to become relevant for your decision making. So I'm really proud of the work that's been done by my data science analytics team, along with the ability for us to enable it into the tools and techniques that's used by the company through my shared services teams like IT and finance, as well as HR.